Hello, my name is Tanesha Grant, and I am the mother of three, grandmother of four. I am also the executive director and founder of Parent Support and Parents New York, which is a community based organization. Hear me, community based organizations and nonprofits are two different things. The community based organizations are the ones that's closest to the people who don't get funded. Um, I want to trace okay. And most importantly for today, I am an impacted child and parent. I want to trace how the harmful system of ACS, CPS, BCW, child welfare system, family policing system has disproportionately punished Black families since the law was made in 1974. I was removed from my biological mother and family from birth. Upon having me, my mother told her nurse that I was her fifth child and she was worried she could not care for me too. So they called ACS. Sorry. This was in 1976. I had a closed adoption, shutting all ties to my biological family. Thing is, my adopted parents did not know how to parent. And at 11, I was thrown back into the system. From 11 to 17, I was shipped to so called group homes or detention centers all over New York. I was raped, molested, and bullied the whole time I was back in care. The adoption agency who handled my adoption never checked on me after I was adopted. I was I was one of 8 kids adopted by this family, and 6 of us went back into care. I was clearly children should be nurtured, and I clearly wasn't, which led to a real hard life after aging out of the group home. I became a prostitute. I had a pimp. I became a drug dealer, and I was on a path of either going to prison or dying. I hated myself and always felt I had to prove to people that I'm worth caring about. I still struggle with these feelings as a grown woman. Because of mandated reporters harming and not helping my mother to keep me, that now has translated to my 3 children not having any family on their mother's side. This is generational trauma. So not only was I traumatized, but so are my children and grandchildren. So I ask you to do away with mandated reporting and invest in supporting families, keeping families together instead of criminalizing Black mothers. I do not identify as a person of color. I am Black. This is a system that disproportionately separates Black families, and it is a legacy of slavery. The system criminalizes Black mothers for being poor while paying strangers to care for their babies. Because I was a child from the system, I've been investigated as a mother harshly because I had a bullseye on my back. All children that go through the foster care system, when they become mothers, the caseworkers come at them even harder because there's no way that we could be good mothers. Guess what? I raised 3 children. My oldest is 29, and I, because of my fighting spirit, made sure that I kept all of them out of care. But I was investigated over 20 times. They lifted my children's shirts up, they went to my children's school, and that still is harm, irreplaceable harm that can never be replaced. And there's no accountability. I don't hear anybody talking about reparations and accountability for people like me who for 47 years has been harmed by this system and knows that all the babies after me are continuing to be harmed. I am an example that raising children can be done even if you was a child of the system. No child or parent deserves to live with this type of emotional pain, being separated from their heritage, their culture, or their origins. It is torture. It is torture. Please end mandated reporting. My mother was also in a preventive pilot program in 1976. I want to relate that to the CARES program now. As a parent advocate, I have stood with people mothers who's supposed to be in this care unit. And when they come to the house, Assemblyman Hersey, and they ask them, what do you need? And the mother says, housing, food. You know what they say? Oh, we can't help you with that. We can only give you a referral. So what is the CARES people really doing? When parents say they need help with things like food and housing, there is very little care Case versus can do. They can't provide them with food. They can't provide them with housing. So what are they doing? It's just more wasted money that should be available to families, to support families, not the system. I'll end with this. It took me 47 years to get my original birth certificate and to find out who my mother is. I want to say that again. It took me 47 years to get my birth certificate and find out who my mother is. I have 6 brothers and sisters that I have never known. I had a grandmother and a great grandmother that lived into the 2000s. My mother lived in Harlem. I live in Harlem. And I never got the chance to know my family. And even now that I know who she is, it is still trauma because this is a family that grew up without me. And I was the only one to be given away. So I'm begging y'all. This is the harm that mandated reporting do, and it goes for generations. A lot of times you see people that is happening to now. I'm here to show you that this has been happening for almost 50 years. How many children have killed themselves? How many children are now in prison? How many children have been lost because they don't know where they come from? I'm at 47 finding out that my father was Jamaican. That is a culture that I will never attend to because I didn't have it growing up. It is very, very important that the system, that the mayor, that the governor understands that separating children from their whole families is the worst thing that you can do. It is not care. It is harm. It is trauma. And not only for that child, but for any children that they have. In mandating reporting now. My name is Tanesha Grant. I am the Executive Director of Parent Support in Parents New York.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Very much appreciated. There is one more member of, we're adding to this panel, Ms. Amara Stanislaw. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.